Alrighty, well today we are going to work on the Florida Wildlife Corridor project, and this is for my students at the Patel College of Global Sustainability. I want to see, yes, I'm actually there in that little lower window. So there we go. Okay. So this is, we're going to use two different programs today, Blender GIS and Blender OSM. And you get Blender GIS add-on by going to GitHub and you download the zip file right there. From a great place, the DOM lice makes that public for everybody. But if you type in Blender GIS add-on, then you might get this tutorial that comes up, which is very useful. And it has a link at the bottom over here to downloading the Blender GIS add-on on GitHub. And it's just installed like other add-ons in Blender. So you download that zip and you do not unzip it. Then you go to Blender and you go to Edit and you go to Preferences and you go to Install and you find the folder where you put it. In my case, it's in Blender Foundation. There's the Blender GIS Master. Another one that I'm using is the Blender OSM. And you can see I've downloaded that 4 different times showing people. But you install those add-ons as zips, and then you need to put a cache folder of where you want the stuff to be placed on your computer or it will not work. And that should help with that. So I have that one, and I have, if I look at my add-ons and I check for GIS, it will come up. Blender GIS, make sure they're enabled, and then OSM, I have the Blender OSM. Again, with Blender OSM, which is OpenStreetMap, you need to tell it the folder where you're going to cache the OpenStreetMap and terrain files. And maybe I should change that to the same folder, actually, come to think of it. That would be good. I'll go to Blender GIS files, and then I can have it there. And then you need to get a Mapbox or GIS token. I'm using the Mapbox token. I wonder if I should get an Arc. See, for Arc I have to set up this whole thing here, so I'm not using GIS ironically for Blender OSM because of all this sign up, setup stuff. It's a lot easier to use a Mapbox. And you do have to sign up for Mapbox too, but I've already done that. So I have these tokens, and you just copy the token or create one, and then paste that information that you copied here into Blender Preferences down here, and that gives you your satellite images. So you have to have a token to get the satellite image. But I'm using the satellite image from Blender GIS, so I don't need to even worry about that in this case, although I might later on. So it's useful to have, and they have to be enabled. So there's that checkbox that you have. And you can save your preferences here. Right, so that's the setup, and that means that over here on the right you're going to see Blender OSM down there, and if you're looking for the GIS, it shows up here. So it's 2 different places. Blender GIS, once that appears in your thing, you can use. You can leave the cube in if in the light. Over here is the light, there's the cube, the default cube, there's the camera. Most people erase the cube. Sometimes it's fun to have for sizing because it's 1 meter by 1 meter. So I don't mind leaving it in. Go to GIS and first do your web geodata base map. And then it's going to open up Google Satellite. And then you want to navigate to the part of the world. It'll take a little while, it'll come in blurry. Wait for it because it has to download the whole world. It'll start coming in clearer. I'm doing Florida. So once you've got Florida in your purview, hit B for bounding box and grab Florida. Now this is going to be a bit tricky because, whoa, I just really messed up here. I don't want that. Let me go back out. Because it's a huge file if you're using an entire state. But we'll try. We'll say good luck to us if we can get this in and the computer can handle it. So I'm grabbing Florida and the Florida keys. And then you want to hit E for extent. So B for the bounding box, E for extent. And that puts that piece onto Blender. But look, it didn't do my whole thing. which is, I guess, the limitation that we have. So, but I'm only interested in southern Florida anyway, so it's not bad that it clipped it like that. Speaking of clipping, when you're in Blender, go to View always and make this end clip as large as humanly possible, and make the clip start small. And then you have the Blender map there. Now, for starters here, I got an email with a shape file that was done in GIS. So while I could come in here and go web geodata and get OSM and get elevation, which I probably should do, you need an API key. It's too large an extent to do that. OSM, it will bring this stuff in, but too large an extent. So as you can see, that's too big. So because we're looking at the whole Florida Wildlife Corridor, this is where I'm going to turn to the shape file that was sent to me by somebody using GIS. And it's in my email over here. And this is from the marvelous Jason Lauritsen from the FloridaWildlifeCorridor.org. And he sent us these publicly available data sets. As you can see, the Florida Wildlife Corridor in a statewide context. And later on, he'll provide data such as trails or the generalized expedition pathway for whatever he feels helpful. So I downloaded the 2021 Florida Wildlife Corridor shape file. And can't provide you all a link to that, but I can send it to any students who are interested. Having that shape file then, when I go into Blender and I go to GIS, now I do import shapefile. And let me find it. It's here, I put it in this folder, and it is right there. That's the shapefile. And I say, okay, extrusion from field, separate objects. I suppose I could do if I want to. Extrusion from field. I don't have an attribute field. Object name from field, specify shape field. Maybe I won't separate the objects for right now. Just know that you can do that. The origin is going to be from the latitude and longitude scene origin in CRS space. I think I'll pick that and I will drop it in. And let it spin and spin. This is a really big shapefile. Remember that we're doing the entire state of, well, most of the state of Florida. We got clipped on the rest of it. So be patient with it. Let's hope it didn't screw up. Dun, 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 dun. Florida Wildlife Corridor. Yes. And it is taking its sweet time, isn't it? Didn't take as long last time, so I'm a little bit confused why it's taking so long. Maybe because last time I didn't pick on the geo origin, and this time I did. So we're just going to have to wait it out. While we're waiting it out, and I hear the computer really thrumming there, making noise there. I'll show you what it looked like when I did it before. It came in, but it came in another part of Blender and I had to drag it in. But this is the shape file that we're hoping comes in. And then we can put it on top of the map that we got from Blender GIS. So it still seems to be taking its time. And I'm not sure if I have to cancel now or not. Because it certainly didn't take this long last time.
Do you want to come and do Blender with me in the library when Cindy?
Yeah, sure. So the last time I put it in, I did the shapefile first and then brought in the extent, and that may be what's wrong now is it's trying to calculate this based on the origin, and it's taking a long time to do so. So it may be that we're going to have to do that route again. Yeah, certainly now we get this this problem of not responding.
Why it's spinning?
It's spinning because it's a huge file.
What did you put?
I put the whole state of Florida. So I'm going to close the
Oh.
program and try it the other way around. So let's go back and open Blender. This is 3.4, by the way. And now we're going to come into GIS, because we already have that plugin that we showed you. Go in there. This time we're going to import the shape file first. And hope that that works. And I'm not going to do any of these other... yeah, see, it had the ability to bring it in based on the world map, and I wasn't able to do that. This is going to be probably quicker, because it doesn't have to do those calculations, but it'll have to do all that by hand. So let's see if this works this time. Since it's already worked once, I'm going to have to think that it would work again, I hope. One always gets eggs on one food. There it goes. Okay, so it does work that way, but it's not in the right place probably. But at least we have that shape file in, and there it is showing up there. That's the shape file. First thing I want to do with that shape file, of course, is give it a color, material color, because then I'll know that we're talking about the green space, and I'll call that Florida Wildlife, Florida FWC green, and then I'll go to base color and pick green, and you'll say, well, nothing happened. It's because we're still up here in this is the wireframe, this is the viewport shading, this is just grayscale. Click here, and now we get the green. So we can change that green to any shade of green that we like, and move that around. All right, so we have now fragmented Florida wildlife corridor areas that are under siege. All right, so now that we've got that, I'm going to save this as, and save it as the Florida Wildlife Corridor shape file tutorial file. Tutorial shape file. It should be tutorial shape file. Tutorial shape file. All right, so we save that, so good. Now we're going to try again. Go to GIS, go to Web Geodata, go get the base map, and pull it in. Although I'm thinking this is the moment to use. No, that's okay. We'll get the whole map. I'll show you. So go to the base map, and we want to say OK. Get that sat map, and do what I was showing earlier. Zoom in on Florida. And then hit B for base map, and grab Florida, and then hit E for extent, and it cuts that portion out. And having that portion now, you'll see that when we go to our actual map there and hit period to find it, it's way over there. It got somehow displaced. So that's where, again, I'm going to have to, because of the new file, go to my view and change the extent to make it really big, like 100 million or something, I don't know. And then when I do this, I can see both of these maps. That's what that thing does, the view clipping. If it's clipped really small, like if this was 0, you wouldn't see much. So, clipping. Grab that with G and move it over to Florida. You'll find that it's way displaced over here in Z. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to take this, and when you see in the displacement here, location item, Z is nowhere near 0, so put Z0, it goes down to 0. And then you'll find you'll have to raise it up, actually, because it's sort of underwater here, because there is some elevation above what they consider base. So I'm going to go to 1,000 meters, and it comes up just a little bit because this is such a big map. But now that I have it, I can move it over Florida like that. And let's see, it's still too high. Shape file. That's the shape file. Shapefile is a ArcGIS shape that people have drawn of what, in this case, what the Florida Wildlife Corridor looks like. So I'm going to now going into orthographic top by hitting 7 and 5 in Blender's keypad. I'll try to place it better on the landscape. And that's where you have to do some finessing. And that's why I wanted to do it the other way around, where you start with the base map and then bring in the shapefile, but it crashed my computer, so I couldn't do that. So it's not going to be perfect. I'm going to use Lake Okeechobee to try to get in on this, and also try to bring this down as close as possible to the floor, because that'll affect radically the shape. And so this is that little bit of finessing that you have to do, unless you have a more powerful computer than mine and can do it without that. So we're looking at a Z now of 387. I can keep bringing that down until it starts to rasterize and I can't see my shapefile anymore. So bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. So far still working. Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. Not bad, not bad. Keep bringing it down. How close to 0 can I get? Or maybe this is weird, like what, is it moving or not moving? So I'm gonna have to try something. I'm gonna put 0 in and see what happens. Yeah, see, then it rasterizes, it kind of disappears. So then you start bringing it up until it is above sea level and you can actually see the green parts. So that's probably, oh, and then when you go to the distance, it disappears again. So it depends on what distance you're looking at it from. And you keep playing with that until you can get a good, clear, shape. And as you can see, it's still not precisely the right size, but we're getting better. Try to map that on. It appears that the shapefile came in a bit small. And that's when you have to hit S and scale and then kind of keep eyeballing it until you get it right. And that may be a process you just have to keep going through, trying to match the features. And again, I think that would have been taken care of if we just brought it in through the shapefile after we'd done the base map. But since it crashed, what can you do? Now it's disappointing me that the transform, oh, I didn't lock the transform as I was scaling it. So I'm going to have to go back up and put that Z in again. There we go. So we're getting a little closer. Some of the barrier outlines are wrong here. So what I should do is lock the Z and then scale and keep moving it until the thing really starts to look like it fits. Oops, I hit H by mistake. I have to hit Alt-H. And go in again. Now we're getting closer. You see the outlying islands here. Lake Okeechobee again is our reference. And everything is not perfect, but it gives you the idea, and then we'll try to work on more stuff later. But at least now the keys are sort of mapped onto themselves. So for starters, also now I'm going to unlock this and bring this up a little bit more. So the green shows up. So now we get a sense of the state's fragmentation. And I'll save this. And now that I have that, I'm interested in a certain region, which is Rosebud, where we are in Pasco County. And rather than trying to hunt for it in here, and since this is the first day I'm working with Blender GIS, I'm not sure all of the different ways that I can get this information. I do know that with Blender OSM, I can precisely find Rosebud, because that's what OpenStreetMap does. I think that there is Get OSM here, but that's not going to give me the street if I use the OSM from Blender GIS. So I switch to Blender OSM itself, and I go select, and it brings up a map, and now I say Rosebud Continuum, and it comes up right there. I can go to the map to look at it by satellite. There's where we are, and obviously I could zoom out and do the entire state of Florida with Blender OSM as well, but I don't want to. I want just to do Rosebud Continuum and get that as my map that we're going to work with, because this is that so-called donut hole that the developers insist needs to be filled. They want all of this with these cookie cutter homes, and we fought it, and we're on this 19-acre parcel here, just this little piece here, and then this is the 48-acre parcel that KB Homes wanted to develop with all this terrible development that we were able to save. So that's the area of interest, and so you then go to show selection rectangle, and that's, we can move it if we want to a little bit. So this is the area of interest that we're going to get. There's that 48-acre parcel, there's our 19 acres, and so this part here. So now that we have that, we then say copy, and then go back to Blender, and paste. And then we import the terrain first. That's the first step. Oh, a valid directory is, there's no valid directory. So let me go back to Preferences and go to my Blender OSM. I must not have set the right directory, and it doesn't like it. So what's the directory? Oh, it doesn't have any information in here. I need to set a directory? Okay, that's weird. It shouldn't have happened that way. Blender models. I'll put it in Blender GIS files now. Accept it as, I'll make a new folder and call it Blender OSM files within the GIS files, because OSM is still a geographical information system. That's where I'm going to store it, and then I'm going to go to accept that. Then I have to get that Mapbox token I talked about. I don't know why it erased it. It should not have. I'm going to just grab a token, which is Rosebud's Fight Against Bad Development, copy that, come back in, and paste that token here. Oops. Here, thank you. I'll get to it. All right, so I've got that.
I will work on this with you in
Okay.
the library.
Great. All right, so save the preferences. So now it should work when I go to import the terrain. It did work, indeed. Question is, where did that terrain import? It says terrain here, and when I hit period, where did it happen? Let me hide the other stuff and see where the terrain is. There it is. It's a teeny piece there. And you look at that teeny piece of terrain that we brought in, and you'll see it doesn't have anything on it. So the next step is to import the image overlay, and that's what that Mapbox token was. So I don't want ArcGIS Satellite because I haven't made an account with them. I'm using Mapbox Satellite. That's that token I just put in. So there's ArcGIS Satellite is the default, but I'm using Mapbox. And then import that, and it comes in. It's got 88 tiles to put in there. It's got several more to go, so you just sit and wait while it downloads the tile image. And yeah, this stuff gets a little bit confusing, so that's why you have to follow step by step. Well, we don't want to have sand in the locomotive.
It has sand in it.
No, it doesn't. It's just stuck because the gears are bad now, because there was sand in it. Okay, so there comes the piece.
Sand in it.
Well, then I can't help you, because you can't take it apart again. It's a one-time thing. We'll have to buy a new locomotive. All right, so there is that.
Let's buy a green locomotive.
That's a good idea. We'll buy a green locomotive. All right, so we've got that. I probably should make the clip start to 0.
Green Pokemon
Then come
will
in better.
work. The green Pokemon will work.
Will it?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Then we have the terrain on top of it. Note that if it shows up for you as just gray, Mom's
You'll
outside.
drive us.
Yes, Cindy's going to drive us. If you go to these shade viewpoint shades, then you'll see that it shows up gray because you're on this shade viewport here. You might have wireframe. You've got to be over into materials or rendering if you want to see that image. All right, let's see if it maps on properly to the export Google map. No, it's way out in the ocean. So, yikes. That's a little awkward. So I'm not sure. So we have to now find a way to make this thing work in here. So I have to lock it. When I go to the item, the location came in as 000, and we didn't want that. And I don't even know why it's not moving here. Like this, there's the transform. But you got to make sure your Z is locked, or it won't show up. So let's lock that Z, and then let's see if we can find where in Florida we are. And that's the weird thing, is it was supposed to come in geotagged, but it didn't. And it's such a small piece. And it disappeared. I mean, it's there. So again, it could be because it's at 0 and it needs to be higher. So we probably want to bring it up. Let's say we bring it up to 100. Is that the piece? Or is that the whole? Oh, no, we're on the wrong thing. Sorry. Didn't want to do that. I'm going to lock that one, lock that, lock that. I was talking about the terrain here. My terrain. My terrain is that little piece there. And that's the one that I need to bring up a bit, because otherwise we can't see it. And then try to move that terrain, but now I'm going to have a heck of a time finding where it belongs in the massive state of Florida. So there's Tampa Bay. And it's not a very clear image either. So that's pretty disappointing to me. Why didn't it come in? And how am I going to find that piece? Well, there is a way to do it, and that is I can take now a larger piece of the OSM and try to map that on and then cut it out. So let's try that. Let's go to OpenStreetMap Terrain Image Overlay. No, what I'll do is I need to find a new one. I need to find a new one. I need to go to OpenStreetMap. I need to go to Select. I need to go to Rosebud, Continuum. I need to zoom way out and get some identifiable feature that I can map on. So I should probably do, there's Land O'Lakes. Show selection rectangle. I can probably use that water feature, is pretty identifiable. And get that, copy it, go back to here, paste that information in, and let's see, if I did OpenStreet alone, I could do OpenStreet, but I was going to do the image overlay. Let's do the terrain first. And import the terrain. Let it spin. And there's that piece of terrain way out of place. Let me bring in the image overlay. And then we can try to match it with this Blender GIS map here. So this was usual with my blunder through blenders. I literally blunder. I take on a task that I've never done before and try to figure it out in real time. And then I have a document of the process I went through. And if you're patient enough, you go through that frustration with me, figuring out what works and what doesn't. And then once I know the technique, then I'll do another one where I'm not blundering. But these things all take time, regardless. So here we go. Should come in a second now. It's got 2 more tiles to go. Come on. You can do it. You can do it, Blender. We have faith in you. And it seems to be getting stuck. Again, because you're not really supposed to do such massive landscapes. Sections are huge. And that is a limitation when you're in a 3D program. You can generate shape files in GIS, ArcGIS, or QGIS because they are basically 2-dimensional files. There it came in. Okay. So, again, we have this problem that it's underground because I didn't lock it. So I'll go to the item and bring this up to 100. There it is. I'm going to lock that now. And now it is missing some tiles, but that shouldn't affect us. But if we go up here to, there it is, that's the part. Yep, that's it right there. A much clearer image, but it's also not sized right. And here you're going to have to try to do some transparency work. So let's see if we can, it says it's opaque, and if we want to make it an alpha clip, then we should be able to, yeah, sort of bring it in like, that's not good. Alpha clip isn't good. What about alpha blend? And then we can change the clip threshold, make it opaque, alpha, clip, or none. Don't need that. Show back face. Okay, so that's not giving me any kind of transparency. There's an alpha here. There we go. So by making it somewhat transparent, I may be able to get it mapped on better. I just can't really see that. All right, that looks all right. It's getting there. Now I'll be able to come into Land O'Lakes and bring up my other terrain, which I'm going to rename here to be Rosebud. And then this is the terrain is Land O'Lakes. And finding Rosebud, which is way down here now, I can move it up and see if I can find the actual lake. but it is too low or something. What's going on with that? It's way transparent. It needs to be raised up. So let's raise this up. Come on. G and Z. Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Oh, it's locked. There we go. G and Z. Bring it up. There we go. Much higher resolution there, and we have to find the actual lake. And where is Rosebud? Better lock it. Better lock it. Okay. Now, find me that donut hole. Is it up here? If that's the 54, is it this? Yeah, I think it's that. I think. No. We're looking for Hale Road up in here. So let me go back to here and see if I type in Rosebud. Again, it takes us there. We can even see the solar panels now. It's a good new satellite picture. So now when we look back, we see where the roads, whoops, I went too far as an extent. Let me go show selection rectangle, there we go. And keep doing that. So, I lost it again. Lost it. I'll find it again. Okay. Pulling out, we see that there is this green part of the corridor there. There it is up there. There's these roads. That's it right there. So we see that's what we should be looking for. That's it right there. So there's the road. That's the 54, and that's the 41. I have to try to memorize that shape and see where the 54 is. There's the 54 where? Aha. There we are. There it is. Okay, got it. So it's there. Mm-hmm. And hit G, and let me try to make it conform to there. If I do my alpha, nothing happens because I have it set on opaque, and it should be alpha blend, I think. Let's try that. There we go, yeah. All right. So, there we are. That's much better. Right, okay. So we have that placed in the right place, and now let's see where we are in relationship to the Florida Wildlife Corridor by turning on the Florida Wildlife Corridor. And you can see then that the Florida Wildlife Corridor is to our right. And that the wildlife is going to face incredible problems getting from here to over here and from here to here because of this dam development down here. Not a friendly place. A terrible place. We are this oasis that is striving to connect this part of the corridor with this part of the corridor. And Pasco hasn't created a way for that wildlife to come across there. All of these neighborhoods, that's why we were fighting so vigorously to keep all of this in rural, instead of having these cookie cutter death knells over here, like that are here. We want the wildlife to be able to come through here, and there is a development that's slated to go in here, the tunnels to towers, for the veterans housing, and we hope we can help them develop with the Florida Wildlife Corridor in mind, because the wildlife should be able to come through here, safely get across Collier Parkway, come through us, our neighbors over here, make its way around the lake. This is the dream, of course, and make its way all the way down through some of this agricultural area and finally over to that portion there. But right now, it's cut off. So they talked about us, the developers said we are this donut hole that needs to be filled. They want this whole thing filled so that they can do, I don't know what they think they're doing. It's kind of crazy. So that's how we're working with this. And I'm going to make sure that if I'm on this, where's this sitting? So that's, I've got to get this to be properly situated. And right now I'm not seeing that. I need to bring it up, I think. Bring this up. And I can see it better. Now I have to do the sizing again, because I was sizing for the macro using Lake Okeechobee, and maybe I don't have the sizing quite right on this. Let me find us again. Here we are. So then what, how do I, so this is a little off. Let's see, if I move this, try to find where it fits. Is that what it is there? So that's going to be a lot of the time is spent trying to jimmy these things into place. If I bring this down, yeah, that seems to be that piece there. Yeah, there it is, isn't it? I think that's supposed to be that hammock of it right there, and those are the outlying islands. This goes down in here, that's the puzzle piece, to match that green and match that green there. I think we're getting there now. It's just really getting that sizing right for the corridor, and because of terrain, making sure that it works like that. It's a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better, right? So now once again, yeah, so there's the corridor, and there's us, and again, there's just no way to get across to the other part of the corridor. I think we have to move this over a little bit more that way. Why did I do that? Let me come back and lock this. Always need to lock that and then move it over. Yeah. All right. So this gives us a much better view of the fragmentation in the state of Florida. And I'm going to have to do all sorts of other transformations and rotations to get this absolutely right. But we can see then what we're dealing with here at Rosebud. The thing I don't like about this image of Rosebud is that it doesn't look green, and it should be. So I think I can do a tint here. Is it subsurface color? Is it overlapping? I wonder if there's a way I can tint this up, to tint this green so it looks better. Surface. No. Subsurface, well. Right, so the subsurface color can be green. Bring that color down a bit. and then tint it up a little bit over the subsurface, just so it shows up more green. And we can see it when we look from space at what we're trying to do here. Okay. A lot of data manipulation to be done, but I think we're beginning to get a concept. And I'm going to take a snip of this and call this Rosebud in FWC1. And then let's go in and get a little closer. Where's that? Okay. Just go across the landscape like this to really show its vulnerability. But you know what? Again, it looks like, have I messed this up? Should it be wider? If I scaled it in X. No, that's the back part of it. That's what it fits there.
I just remember you can't come with us, right?
Really?
You have the honor college?
Oh, is that?
Honor?
No, that's on the 7th.
What is today?
3rd.
Do you have anything?
No.
Why do you have something on the calendar?
What does it say on the calendar?
Why closed it?
Huh?
Closed the month. In March.
Okay, so we've got this. Now I have a better idea, looking at the landscape, of where we fit in.
HCC? What is,
Oh, Florida, that's Florida Community College.
are they coming today?
Oh, I suppose. Yeah, maybe they are. All right, so now I'm going to go to Snipping Tool, and I'm going to take another one and save that as
HCC.
Florida Wildlife Corridor, or Rosebud FWC2.
I'll do it today in the evening.
Sure.
After the
Okay, and I'll take another picture rotating around to look at it so you can see the ocean like that. I'm not displeased with this, and it really shows the dilemma of development pretty darn well. Mm-hmm. And say Rosebud FWC3 1. And I think then finally I'll zoom right in on it so people can see a bit of Rosebud there. Yeah, so you see the animals that go around there and then they get stuck, they can't go across. So let's do Rosebud FWC4. Right, then it's a matter of reporting this stuff. So the very first thing I'm going to do is go to Facebook. By sharing to my own wall, I can then easily share to all of our different Facebook groups. So that's how I chose it. I'm a public persona now, 1.9 thousand friends. Didn't know I had so many friends. Lovely people. You're all wonderful. Love you. go in here and let's add these pictures to the post. And let's put in Rosebud. And then get the FWC. There's number 2 is there. Maybe I didn't do them all with the right name. Rosebud. There's FWC3. There's 1. Can I select them all? I should be able to select them all. Yeah, I can select them all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures. And now I'll say, and it's very important, I think, for you as students to use social media and blast it. Just saturate social media with projects that are salubrious, that are good for the world and good for your conscience. So just say working with Blender, GIS and Blender OSM to place Rosebud Continuum Science Center in the context of the Florida Wildlife Corridor shape files provided to me and John Kinzer and John Francis and the team a marvelous wildlife champion Jason, let me get his last name proper. Lauritsen, not son, Lauritsen. You can see clearly why Rosebud is so vital as connective tissue for Pasco County, where Rosebud and its environs where the developers their irresponsible development lawyers argued our area to be a donut hole that needs to be filled with dense residential to stop sprawl elsewhere. We argued that it is an oasis, a sanctuary, a wildlife crossing. That is important to connect with the corridor. Here you clearly see that the corridor is so fragmented that wildlife don't stand a chance unless we, the people, join in by making our properties part of those vital planet lines. Okay. So posting that up, and then I'm going to take that same text and go to this email and say, reply to all. Hi, Jason and team. I'm spending the morning, and then paste that in. Oops, I should have pasted it in without plain text.
Can you put that for me?
لا بدنا نطلع مع سندي كمان شوي نجهز حالنا.
Okay, Mom.
بدي اياك تجهز حالك ليلي. We're gonna be there until around noon. Are you okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be alright?
Yes, I'm gonna be fine.
Good. So what I'm gonna ask you is to get the rats out.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that?
If there are any.
Huh?
The real world barriers to walking the path of the panther.
Get the rats out.
All right, so I've sent that out, and yeah, now we can start working with this and bring objects in. And one of the things that would be pretty fun to do would be to bring in a panther or a black bear. If there is a file that can be brought in, let me see if there's a black bear Blunder file. Let's see if that exists. Turbo Squid bear blender models for download. There's a bear, but it's $320. Ain't no way, $124. I can't afford any of that. Cartoon Animal Collection, $84. Yeah, not happening for $145. So not going to happen from Turbo Squid, I guess. Free 3D. Free 3D has a grizzly bear for $26 and a black bear for free. That is in an OBJ or a 3DS. So maybe we try that. Free models, download. Let's see, it's in a RAR. And it says error. So I guess we ain't getting it because it ain't downloading. That's a shame. So it was there, now there's one for $59. I guess real time and low poly for $8. If I need to go there, $29 for a black bear as an FBX. Thanks for saying free 3D and not being free. Brown bear is the same guy, and apparently he's done $29 for that black bear. Here's a blue bear, Tibetan blue bear. Bear sitting. Maybe just for the sake of it, maybe the blue bear will come in for now. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that one did come in. So I'll start with a blue bear, even though it's not a brown bear. I'm a black bear. Let's see if I go to show in folder. There's my Tibetan blue bear. I need to extract all. And there's the Tibetan blue bear. There's the OBJ. There's the texture files. So Tibetan blue bear, then I will cut that out of this folder and go to my what? Go to my this PC, and then go to documents and go to Blender models and go to Blender GIS files, and I guess I can just drop it in here. Although I'm doing this as part of the Blender GIS thing, so I might as well create a folder in here called Florida Wildlife Corridor Models. And let me see, animal models? I should say animal models. And with our budget, if we have a budget, then we can eventually get a well-modeled bear. But here it is, right there. So now I go to Blender here, and I go to File and Import, and this is going to be an OBJ, and it should be in Blender GIS files and Florida Wildlife Corridor Models, Tibetan blue bear, and it didn't come in. I thought it was a, okay, that's very strange. It is an OBJ. It says it's an OBJ. So what am I doing wrong? I'm doing a wavefront OBJ. I'm going into the Tibetan blue bear folder. That is the right place. And it ain't showing up. So nothing came in. Okay, that baffles me. Maybe it's a path thing. That does happen at times. So I come in here and I get rid of all that because that's too much. I go in here and again get rid of all that. Shorten path names. And I'll go in here and say Tibetan bear. And try it again. File, import, wavefront object, .obj, maybe legacy. I mean, it should show up as legacy. Let's try that. Blender models, Tibetan black bear no longer exists. Blender GIS files, animal models, black bear. There it is, Tibetan bear. Oh, and then this one has to, the material. Let me change the name on this, if it'll let me rename. Tibetan bear.obj. I'm not sure, MTL, material. Alright, I'm bringing this in and bringing this in. It won't let me do that. Okay, import the object. And let's see where it went. Oh, it's over there. Okay, and it came in with its model. It's good. That's good. It's just way off in the world. In the wrong button. I hit it. Alt-H, go back. G, move it up out of the ocean. Is that where it is? In the ocean? Now it came in translated weird, so this bear, I have to open up and rotate it in, oops, I'm rotating the landscape, not the bear. That would be bad. Oh, shoot. Okay. So this is the world, and there's the bear. So let's rotate the bear on the x-axis, R and X, and put the bear upright. Alright. And now let's move the bear down to Pasco. So, move the bear over somewhere in here is where we were, I believe. And I do need to then go to Rosebud and find that. Oh, Rosebud's way up there. Okay, so my bear is nowhere near Rosebud right now. So where's my bear? Tibetan bear. The Tibetan bear actually should be in its own collection, shouldn't it? Doesn't matter, it's an object in there, we'll find it. Let's just move it. Let's do this. Let's find where Rosebud is. Rosebud's at -390. Let's say copy data path, I think we can do. Copy data path. And then go to the bear. And it's not letting me paste the path. All right, so then I've got to do it this way until I've figured out a better way. My X value can be copied. No, can it not be copied? This isn't like Unity. Unity, you can just copy it. -390. Thanks. -390 is the X value. So, thank you. -390. And go to Rosebud. It's at 152677. And Y. 152677. And then the Z should be, I think we said 100. Now the bear is there. Ah, good. It worked. Still a little low though. Bear's underground. It's an underground bear. Bring the bear up. Now, of course, that bear is way too big for Rosebud. So we're going to have to scale it down to whatever size bears are supposed to be in the landscape. Bring it up again, G and Z. Bring it up. Move it over. And, oh, I should have locked the Z. So let me make sure if I go G and Z and I bring it down till it's paused or to go in the landscape, then come up here and lock the Z. Now when I move the bear, it's not going to move anywhere else except in X and Y. So if we brought the bear over by Rosebud's lake, or put it over here by the Rosebud lake, it's still way too big. So now that's that darn clipping. Why am I clipping? Still clipping? Doesn't seem to do anything. There we go. Change the clipping down there. Now I can get a view of the bear with the lake. And here's where I don't need the green so much. It's not letting me shift the world here. I'm getting shift, darn it. Come on. Let me shift the world. Okay. My mouse isn't working? Maybe the bear is still big, but it's really kind of awkward. And let's rotate the bear in Z so it's kind of facing like it's trying to wander there. And then let's put in, let's do Shift D and duplicate and put another bear and make it slightly smaller, and another bear and make it even smaller. And make another little one of those. And I'm going to move that in X. And rotate it like, oops, rotate it in Z. There. So now I have this family of bears that's trying to survive on the property. And again, my darn computer's not letting me rotate properly. Is that because did I lock this Z as well? Maybe I locked Z for this item. Yeah, I locked this item. There we go. So when you lock it, you have a little bit of trouble doing that. Moving stuff that you've locked. Okay. It's still not letting me go down. Something else is locked. Oh, lordy. Alright, the Tibetan bear, I did lock you. I locked. They're not locked. They're not locked. That one's locked. That one's locked. That one's locked. These are all locked for the export Google Sat. I still can't do it. This is locked. This is locked. And that's locked. So now if I move it, see, it's not letting me go down, shift down. So there's really something I think is wrong with my mouse more than anything. Because it should there. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it isn't. But that, I just want to get now rid of the green on this. That green hue, I'm going to take out. There we go. I want to just deselect everything. But it won't let me. Come on, let me deselect. There we go. There's our little family of bears. Let's put no, I don't want that. So let's get this out of the way. Okay. And now let's grab it. Rosebud FWC Bears. Right. And let's go in and get a close-up. Come on, darn you. Let me shift. It's not letting me shift. Why aren't you letting me shift? Come on, let me shift. It won't let me shift. It won't let me zoom in. I can zoom in by hitting
It's just
that.
the smell. It's not around during the day, but it's there a lot in the morning, in the evening. I don't want the smell to let you need to check. But rats, by the sink, by the couch there, I smell it sometimes. By under the storage. Can you please check?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Let's get that little guy out of the way. Oops, didn't mean to
So,
change
do you
that.
want to keep my bottle with you, or should I put your stuff?
I don't know.
Tea bottle with you, or should I put your stuff in a cup for you to drink, and I use the tea bottle to take it with me?
I like the bottle.
You like the bottle? Like it's your bottle for your birthday.
Okay. Let's actually move this in closer. There we go. So
I wanna take the bottle with me. Would you please drink it quickly?
yeah.
And then I'll get you a bottle. It's gonna be for your birthday, okay? And you have stuff from Lush.
All right. So this is
Cosmetics.
Rosebud FWC. Bears close. All right. So we're getting toward the capabilities here. And if I select all the bears so they kind of show up so people can see that we have those bears. I want to really get in on the bears for that. Now when I zoom out to look at the whole landscape, you see the bears in context. This is not letting me shift for some reason. It's just ticking me off. There we are. I think that's good context. And select this.
Finish the TV.
And Rosebud FWC Bear long shot. All right. Then we go back to our Facebook group and we edit the post and add the bears in. So that documentation there. And let's find them. So there is the bears. Long shot and wide. Oops. Long shot, wide, and close.
Did you send Muhammad Atiyah the stuff?
No. Okay, so one more thing to send it off to the team and say, last email, I promise, here are 3 pics of putting bears into the map. Unfortunately, they are Tibetan bears because I can't find a cost-free black bear. There is a good $29 model out there, or decent, let's say. But let's start with what is free for now. Gives a possibility though. Kids putting the bears back in their backyard. In this case, this is our backyard where you will be visiting at Rosebud, where Sunny and Marianne Bishop did see bears on their property when they bought it decades ago. If only we can bring them back. And I should say they also saw a panther. Okay. And let me put those images in. And that's about it for today's Blunder. We can see that the bears now, if we want to get them to walk from the protected area over to the other areas, then they're going to need all of our help because there ain't much place to go, especially as all this gets filled in completely. So we're urgent. Thanks for watching. If you